So we are. This is semifinals: USA versus Germany. Um, Lannister for Germany, Tyrell for the US. Let's take a look at the decks real quick. I think see if they're right. So Lenny Reigns on the Germany side, Valor M and First Snow. What Red Keep is they're restricted. Tyrell
Correct.
Reigns, Valor M, and Flea Bottom is the restricted. So jumping into the match here.
Yeah, I've actually played this match a fair amount in testing with Eric, so turn one is huge.
Is that right?
The landing deck can just get out to such a brutal start if they see early Cersei, Casterly Rock,
That's
and
right.
Reigns into Spiderweb. They both
Just
kept their
clean out
hand.
your entire hand.
I mean, this feels good for Eric that he kept his hand because that hopefully means he has the pieces that he needs. Hightower is huge for us right here
Yep.
to try to get us into the late game. Lanny not seeing a big on setup feels okay for us as well. This coin flip, presumably for initiative first turn, is going to be huge. This coin flip.
And on the coin flip, what? Because this is what going to be at the gates, or what?
I assume either of them are going to open either at the gates or late summer feasts, depending on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, all the plots in question are at zero initiative. I mean, Lanny could open heads, but I assume they're going to want to set up their econ
Mm-hmm.
early.
And do both players want to go first? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No. Okay.
Eric wants to go second because if he has a milk,
I see.
there's the late summer feast and the at the gates,
So late summer
and
feast to
Eric's
you
won the coin
indicates
flip.
that Lanny has a big that they want to play, or
Yes,
okay.
Lanny probably has Cersei. That would be
And
my
here's some
guess.
more econ for you to get Cersei out with
And I'm
Gates of the Moon.
feeling like Eric either has a milk or the right to go with his left.
Okay. All right. Eric did win initiative and made you lose go first, as you said he would.
Okay, so he's ditching the burn men there to draw another card. It might mean his hand is kind of awkward, or he's worried about putting that big out, into a potential milk. Oh boy, he's got a lot of eco now. The nice thing here is if Eric can prevent the Reigns trigger, then any challenge that the Lannister player wins, Eric will draw cards. There's Cersei.
Yeah.
And
And
Red Keep.
Red Keep.
Yeah, actually, in testing, we found that Red Keep sometimes in the matchup was actually a trap,
Mm-hmm.
just because the Tyrell player, once they get going, have so many different tricks
Right.
that it just taxes it too much.
I mean, yeah, like
There's the milk.
there's milk. Okay, great. Right. I mean, like, what is Red Keep? Is there anything particularly to set on, or are you just stopping
Um,
a single high tower trigger?
no, the flea bottom triggers, and not necessarily just the flea bottom itself, but more like the Old Town Informer, the High Tower Spy,
Mm-hmm.
um,
The jumpy stuff.
the Shrewd Diplomat, the stuff that can come into play and do things in the middle of challenges, I think, are very big. Um, Mid game, if they can empty Eric's hand out, then it's potential that they could use it to cancel a high tower trigger and marshaling just to deny him the value of the card draw. But Lanny's also sitting on 2 gold, which makes me think they could be sitting on a treachery as well. So they could have 2 cancels this round. But here, you're just already seeing the value of the high tower.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the Lanny players sitting on 5 cards in hand, they don't have an abundance of draw in their deck. So that's why Eric needs to keep the game, under control these first couple turns.
All right, Eric is thinking about it.
As he just said, good call, Trey. $7 gold. There's a couple different things he could be sitting on here. If he's got a big with a dupe, that opens up a potential Valor line since he's got a decent amount of economy on the board. He could be looking at some kind of Marjorie or Randall or Renly, or he could be thinking about putting 2 smaller characters out. I mean, right now, the Lanny player is still threatening the Reigns trigger, just because we only have the 2 intrigue strength and they're sitting on 12.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if there was a Renly with a dupe, I think we would have seen it by now, right?
I would think so. I mean, it's also possible that he could be sitting on multiple bigs without any protection,
Right.
and he's thinking about which one to put on the board.
Yeah.
Because right now he technically doesn't
Is
have a whole,
is
isn't
there
a claim
any
so.
thought at all, because I mean Cersei's milked, so Valor doesn't have to happen, but she also doesn't have a dupe, doesn't have a bodyguard. Eric hasn't
I don't
committed a
think
ton to the board yet,
I
so
don't think that Cersei warrants
yeah,
the Valor just yet.
especially with the milk. Yeah.
With the milk, yes. It's also possible that Eric's hand could be very awkward, but
Mm-hmm.
he kept his hand because he had the high tower. He had a very good setup with high tower econ and had the milk for Cersei. But the rest of
Mm-hmm.
his hand could be awkward, could be a bunch of events or something. He doesn't necessarily want to put cards in shadows right now, because if he puts cards in shadows, Lanny Reigns could potentially go into. I believe they have exposed duplicity on their list, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You were right. It was a big Randall, and probably no. Right. So I guess the consideration is like he really wanted to put out another intrigue icon, right? And
Yeah. The good thing right here is that the Marcella does kneel currently because
with the hand size.
with hand size. Yep. And Eric could still threaten some tricks. I mean, that red keep and the 2 gold that Lanny has saved could cancel his tricks. So we'll see what line he's thinking here. I'm not sure exactly what
Yeah, I
the.
mean, what Red Keep would probably cancel Septon here, right?
That's what I would think. Yes.
Because if you cancel Septon, you're probably canceling another high tower trigger just by preventing it in the first place.
Correct. And Eric does have the higher reserve here, so he would love to have 7 cards in his hand at the end of the turn. Yeah, he's not wrong. The board right now is very awkward because it doesn't have claim soak. I believe he runs 3 copies of left and right, so he doesn't really want to claim them.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming the way this is going to go down is the range trigger from Lanny will kneel, go into filthy accusations to kneel this Randall, so he wouldn't be able to even defend the military challenge unless he's sitting on a strength boost for him.
Right.
So he may have a bodyguard in. No, we don't run bodyguard in our deck. I'm not sure what he's
Yeah,
sitting
and,
on
and
for
like
that
and the
1
strength
gold.
boots isn't even
Oh,
obvious
full
right
bottom.
now.
Okay. Flea Bottom's a good card. I mean, obviously we don't have the gold or targets for it
Mm-hmm.
this turn, but it's a great card in later turns to tax the Red Keep and or Treachery. Again, we don't know what the Lanny player has in hand. There's two different cards in the deck that he can ambush in for 2 gold. The Burn Men, which he already discarded one of them, and then there's another one, which forgive me, I don't remember the name of. It's like a guard, some kind of guard or something. It's 4 cost, 3
Yeah.
strength,
Is it
military
the gold
power.
cloaks that goes back to
You kill them at the end of the
you
phase, I
kill?
believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you can yeah, them.
There it is, in fact. So, and so, interesting. Bringing it out right now makes me think it's going to be a military first. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Yeah, no,
red cloaks, not gold cloaks. Gold cloaks. I was right. Gold
gold
cloaks.
cloaks. Yeah,
Um,
no, it doesn't. I don't. I don't.
well, what Eric,
I
like you
don't.
were
I don't
saying,
see
like,
that.
Eric doesn't want to kill left, so this probably. Oh, okay. There's the. That's also interesting. Yeah, I guess Gunther's going to get his reaction off regardless here, probably this turn. So,
Yeah, since Eric didn't save a gold to threaten the growing strong, then unfortunately that's going to come down no matter what.
mhm.
So I assume that this scheming septon is probably just going to have to be the military claim.
Yeah, late summer feast actually feels pretty good right now on this turn. It's
Yeah,
because
I mean,
otherwise Eric would be down to 3 cards at the end of this challenge phase.
no, not quite, because he only can make the one military challenge if we're assuming he's going into filthy accusations here. Yeah, there's the filthy, so it's not spider's web.
No, but I was just looking at Gunther's reaction. Also, like Gunther's going to take a card out of hand.
Correct. Oh, that really surprises me that he didn't play the
Yeah,
crown on Randall, unless he just drew that with the
that I gotta
late
believe that
summer.
that was the late summer feast trigger there. Yeah, because that seems kind of good and obvious for.
Wait, did the Lanny player not use Gunther?
No, Gunther. He held Gunther back for the military challenge, right? Or
He just
hasn't
made
used
the
him at all.
military challenge with the gold cloaks.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Interesting.
I guess he wanted to leave the intrigue challenge or the intrigue icon up so
Really
that,
likes his hand. Okay.
yeah, in case Eric is willing to kill this left, then he can't get an intrigue challenge back. I guess I can see that line.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that he loves his hand so much as just that he has 4 cards, and in one of the drawbacks of Reigns, obviously, is you can't run you win or you die as a regular plot because it's a scheme.
I think this will tell you a little bit something here.
It wasn't the okay. It was the Septon.
Yep.
I don't understand why he didn't oppose the intrigue challenge then if he was ultimately going to claim the Septon.
Yep.
But he may have thought that the Lanny player would have ranged into uh, something else. Honestly, though, being only down 2-0 after this turn with our backboard right here, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like we're in an awful position.
Yeah, I think right. I'm not seeing why. Yeah.
Losing that crown really hurts because the crown would have
Mm-hmm.
taxed cancels, stood Randall, and um, also giving us flea bottom targets, presumably.
All right, so heads versus warden. So you've got the
The
Tarly
stands for
trigger
Randall.
built in now.
Hopefully, this heads doesn't hit something key.
Rolling the dice.
Oh,
Snake eyes.
hit our big intrigue icon.
So
It's
we might be
interesting.
seeing was the consideration Tarly versus Mace last turn, was that part of Eric's dilemma?
Correct.
Yeah.
And there we see a pinch of powder put into shadows by the Lannister player. That's why he went first. That definitely puts us in an awkward position too, because we don't have any intrigue icons to protect the pinch.
Mm-hmm.
There's an intrigue icon.
Still short of what we need. Stop the range trigger or a pinch.
Yeah, let's hope that Hightower drew us something.
I mean, what does Eric want? He wants the jumper that can come in and remove something from challenge, right? The
I mean, unfortunately, that's not even enough
no,
because of the
it's
red keep.
mm-hmm. Right.
And the Lannister player is still threatening a treachery. Oh well, he's not gonna be. He can't treachery and have the gold for the pinch. So, um, okay. There's a big intrigue icon. Now they can't and a bodyguard.
And the red keep, yeah, now has to sit on the Marjorie trigger, right? Too. Although I
Yeah,
guess
because I mean,
that's not gonna, a pinch isn't gonna. Yeah, okay. So 8.
remember our plot gives our characters +2 strength while defending.
Yeah.
So
Good timing on this. So
yeah, that was a very well played plot.
now the problem is, right, is like the pinch can happen on the power challenge too.
Yeah, but we actually are stronger on the power challenge
Yeah.
than we are on the intrigue. I mean, but yes, I mean it could be a very defensive turn for Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he can't do the offensive valor because the bodyguard is dead to the red keep.
Right.
They I don't know what Lanny has in their hand right now, but it's very possible if they have characters, they could look into a potential reset because our board is really strong right now.
Yeah, Lanny's has gotten. I mean, yeah, that crown hit was so substantial because Eric could be, putting cards into the discard pile for flea bottoms. That would be doing a lot of work right now with that crown.
Yeah, the crown would have stood Randall last turn. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
crown would have just been so huge, and we only have one of them.
And it's also like Eric's kind of depending on flea bottom to get that second high tower trigger each round too. I mean, just getting a single trigger and marshaling is not a great. It's not getting the most out of high tower. Like you want to be getting at least 2 per round
Correct.
out of it, with the occasional plot trigger, some cute stuff. because Team USA was looking at Tyrell so long, between like what the right Tyrell deck was to run in this, I started looking at Tyrell and just playing around and just thinking about like, okay, how do you get the most out of Hightower? Can you design a deck around maximum Hightower triggers?
That's kind of where we ended up settling down. That's why we were using Flea Bottom as a restricted card.
I went into a far jankier direction.
12 intrigue, so that means that we've got to oppose with both of our intrigue characters. Luckily, one of them doesn't kneel.
Mm-hmm.
So we technically can threaten Reigns back this turn if nothing crazy happens.
So are there any tricks that Lanny can pull here to win this? This seems like this is kind of running straight into what I mean. Eric just defends
I
here,
mean,
right?
Lanny can still win the challenge
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of the
yeah.
12 to 12, but I don't.
So
I can't
12 to
think of
12.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, 12 to 12.
I can't think of any Lanny tricks for 1 gold that would.
What's so what could Eric be thinking about here?
He could have a growing strong in his hand and be thinking about whether he wants to win the challenge outright or whether he wants to just defend with. Oh no, even a growing strong wouldn't be enough to pump right up high enough to stop the trigger. So if he has the growing strong, he could be thinking whether he wants to win the challenge on defense. But either way, I assume that we will see him defend with both characters.
Right.
Because he'll still be able to win the intrigue on. Well, there's the
Okay.
growing strong.
Yeah. So it's just a question of like who gets it, right?
Left, right, and Marjorie. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gets a renown and he's not losing a card out of his hand. He's just spending the card out of his hand.
Why left and not Randall?
Because Randall is going to stand with
Mm-hmm.
hit the plot each time he kneels, and now left can block the hound on the power challenge by himself.
But wouldn't Randall block and then immediately stand with this plot on a defense? If Lanny did a power challenge, Randall could block it and would immediately stand because of the Wardens of the South plot, right? Oh, I guess it's only 2, right? It's just 2 per phase. That's the only thing. And Red Keep
Yeah.
will stop Randall. Okay.
Yes, I would assume at this point that Red Keep will stop Randall on one of
Looks
the
like we got.
challenges.
I think that's Philip Kelly in chat there.
Yeah, I'm not actually in the chat, so
That's okay. Yeah. Phil and I were on Thrones War Lannister team together, I think. Yeah. Right, and Red Keep canceled Randall. Gotcha.
yeah, makes sense. I mean, we still can win all of the challenges. So I mean, it's very.
Yeah. And I see now because right now left gets to 7 on.
And now that Red Keep was canceled, there is an interesting thought here that we could intrigue Reigns into Wildfire to kill Randall to get Renly, and then make a military challenge. But I guess he didn't like that line. That would have left us open to the Valor Morghulis a lot more. So.
Mm-hmm. This keeps Hound on the board.
Correct, which is nice. I'm not sure that we even reigns here.
Would you be rainsing for dominance or something, or? Oh, get rid
Duplicity.
of the
Okay, get
pinch,
rid of the
yeah.
pinch.
Get rid of the pinch, yeah.
That's a good call.
Good thing we're not playing. Okay. And Chiswick. Yep. Lanny needs draw so much that even Chiswick gets played. All right. You have any thoughts on plots coming up here? See, Lanny's already like down to 2 cards in hand.
Correct. They do have an expo or a close call, I think, available that gives them a little bit of card draw, but I don't think they waste that on the Lannisport Merchant. Eric only has 3 cards in hand, depending on those 3 cards. Late Summer Feast, if they're expensive, or I'm not sure what else. Okay, City Besiege, Kneel the Red Keep. That's a good call.
Kind of makes me think Lannister does have a character to play here, right? Well, I guess you said their only draw is close call.
Correct. And they could have just been playing the at the gates to get a limited location out of their deck, which slightly increases their chances of drawing something useful. I mean, very slightly, but math is still math. A lot of economy on the board here for both players. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fishing. Interesting Casterly Rock, but I guess with Cersei milked, a lot of that value goes away. Yeah, and Lanny's kind of on the wrong side of the hand size issue right now, where when they're winning the hand size battle, it can snowball really easily, but if you're trailing, it's hard to get over the hump. All right, Tywin. And a bodyguard. That'll slow some things down. Probably didn't want to see the Hound dupe, so that second gold mine Neil might have actually been nice.
Agreed. Getting rid of that, there's a Randall dupe, so that helps a little bit. Hopefully, we have another character so we can force a draw at least. That Tywin with a bodyguard is pretty annoying.
So a rules question for you.
Oh,
there's a milk.
There's a milk one Tywin.
If you had, for example, double bodyguard Marjorie, and then did a Valor, and the red keep canceled, do you get to? Could you trigger both bodyguards, or is it like you had the one window, red keep cancels it, Marjorie's dead? How does that work?
I'm not a rules expert, but I believe each card gets one response to each event.
To the window. They're
because if I remember correctly, it's happened to me before playing against Greyjoy that I've brand a save on a Valor turn and they played a second save on the same character.
Gotcha.
So that would probably be the same thing. Maybe somebody in chat who's a better rules expert than me could confirm.
Yeah, Phil thinks that's the way it works. I think I was misreading. I thought for a second that Eric had played another bodyguard, but that's not the case. It was a milk. Anyway.
Yeah. The milk on Tywin is good, just because of the strength decrease, and if Lenny doesn't top deck anything and they do go for a Valor, then Tywin won't be a ton of strength just based on all the gold they have on the board. Card and Shadows feels good this turn. Yeah, I think that that Lanny is going to go into this Valor and hope to top deck. That's why they duped the Hound.
And Eric only has Randall left at the end of that, right?
Correct. Because and Eric might have even thought the Valor was coming this turn, and that's why he played the City Besiege to kneel the Red Keep.
I see. Yeah. All right, Lanny just passes challenges.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking that the Valor's coming. That
Six, 12, 18, 21 on the Lannister side on power.
like you said, we do have that 3 gold,
No,
which
yeah,
means
right.
that we
Means a
could
lot.
threaten a Hightower spy or a shrewd diplomat, but it might not necessarily be worth it unless we can get some other benefit out of it. And it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe the intrigue challenge is worth it just because we get the card out of their hand and we could potentially trigger Reigns, but this was a good sequence, I think, by Eric, because that seems odd. Unless that one card in the hand is a treachery to stop the Hound from returning to hand, he either has to return to hand or lose his due.
I wonder if he thought about that. He might just return to hand, period, right? And lose the
Right,
dupe.
but if Eric has a Hightower spy or a shrewd diplomat, he can threaten the intrigue challenge with 2 claim.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think it's worth to bring that card out of Shadows if it's something that can win this intrigue challenge for us to get those 2 cards out of hand, potentially. We also get a draw out of it with a Hightower. Yep, intrigue challenge coming down. I'm assuming it's going to be a double block, and then whatever we have out of, I'm assuming it's going to be a shrewd diplomat.
Yep.
There it is.
There could be a treachery, but no.
There could. Yep. But there is not. So that leaves us with 3 cards in hand to 0 cards for Lannister, which feels very good. And now the boards would be much better in our favor with Tyrion Lannister. Yeah, that was a very good intrigue. That was very, very good sequencing by Eric on this turn. And he can also push through the 2 claim power challenge as well.
Mm-hmm. Randall's the only one surviving this, but getting a power on him feels good.
Yep. I mean, I don't know. Lanny is in a rough spot now. I mean,
You
I'm
think?
not
Oh,
saying
so like you think they can't Valor is
they almost have to because they're just never winning challenges against this left and right, probably. But they're top decking at this point, just blind top decking
mm-hmm.
with a Milk Thailand.
Right. This is unfortunately like this. Lanny finds itself in this position all the time, and it just sucks. All right. So what does Eric play here?
Depending on what he has in his hand, I mean, Big Econ. Yeah, I think yeah. Oh, first no, okay, that's an interesting plot. But yeah, Eric played the Big Econ plot like I thought he would. I mean, we're still looking at we'll have uh, Randall on the board and Marge on the board after the first snow.
Mm-hmm.
The shrewd diplomat is ambushable as well
Yep.
for 5 cost, so that can come back after the first snow.
Yep.
And I mean, Lanny's also, unless they drew dupes, going to lose this Marcella and Gunther back to hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure this is better
And
than
there's Renly.
Valor. Yeah. But
I mean, obviously, with us having the Renly in hand, I don't think that the Valor play would have mattered either.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just put Renly in play and still have 10 gold. Knight of Flowers, yeah.
Well, like right now, does this? Yes, Gunther is ambushable, but like this game could very well end on Eric's challenges, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, Lanny hasn't marshaled yet. They have 9 gold, I guess. If they, saw the right characters
Oh,
or
they're gonna
something.
fish here too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That surprises me they got rid of the Gunther because
Yeah.
they could have just put the Gunther dupe down, but I guess they have 9 gold, so they think ambushing him in for
Oh.
4 is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then apparently have drawn dead, perhaps. Milks. Milks were one of our biggest outs in this game. The high tower early, so we could keep up with the hand size, which he did. And then the milks in testing were the 2 really big things, and Eric saw both
Those
milks
both of
and the
those
high tower.
happened. Yeah.
I mean, you watched some of the test games, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There were games where Cersei would hit the table turn 1 with a Casterly Rock and just reigns into Spider's Web and empty hand, and there's the concede.
Yeah. It felt like a concede for a while here. All right. Great. All right. So that ties the matchup up at
3.
three apiece. We're gonna have in 50 minutes. We're gonna have the Targ matchup. And is it right?
Yep.
We're having a CT play that. Is that correct? Or has that been settled yet?
Um,
Or we just don't know?
the plan is to have CT play,
Okay.
but you know, stranger things have happened. In 50 minutes, anything could happen, right?
Right. So back here in 50 minutes, we're gonna have Targ Valerian Steel versus what's the mystery knight here?
Targ assault from the shadows. Burn.
Mm-hmm. And this is a tough one, right? This is one that's testing has shown this to be a pretty tough matchup here,
Uh,
right?
Incinerate is a card, and but you know what? Again, you gotta play the
Oh yeah,
cards.
yeah, and it's a card game.
Yep.
Cards happen.
So
All right.
all
Well,
right.
thanks. We'll be back here in 50 minutes, and then I wonder if Mira will maybe delay her game a little bit while the Targ matchup is happening, but maybe not. But we'll have the third game today as well. That's supposed to start 30 minutes after the Targ matchup. So,
Yep. Sounds good.
all right. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Trey.